Hey Hero fans, this is Todd. So today I'm going to talk about how to make a cool light up scene using your Spirit of Hordak figure. So first of all, I like to play a lot around with force perspective, and so this right here is an example of a image I made, and you can see it there, how the grid gets smaller and smaller as it goes towards the back. Now if you lay this down, and if the camera's straight on, it gives the illusion like it just goes way back and fades to nothing. Now I purposely shot this footage at a slight angle so you can see the tricks I'm using. I like to use this in the background for like a horde type stuff so it looks like it's some kind of background scene of some sort. And then I have one of these stands, and it's the standard stand you get from Addy Collector, pretty common one, but I wanted to use it to hold one of the lights. Now those lights I showed in my video on Light Hope, and this stand of course won't fit in this little area here and it'll keep falling out, but the base of it works really well for holding this light. So what's cool is you can use the base, it works really good. So what I do is to hold this in place, I find the biggest piece possible on the top, pull it off, put on some sticky tack on the bottom here. You can see that sticky tack right there. And then I just take and shove this on to hold it in place. And now that it's held in place, will be my stand in order to hold that light right in the right place. So now I take my light, I load it up in there, aim it the way I want it, make sure the tail of this is up, otherwise it will get in the way. Lay it on my stage, get it just right. Now, if you remember in the comic when they had it, they had a base that he stood on. So I'm going to put the base right about there. And you basically want it where the squares are most square. If you put it where the squares are stretched or the squares are squished, then it'll look really weird. So you got to place it right about there. And now you can place your Spirit of Hordak right on top of it. There we go. Get your remote control, and turn on the lights. Make sure they're set to red, because if you change the colors, it starts to look kind of strange. Now, what's fun about this is as you change the colors, you will notice that because he's actually red, depending on the colors you choose, shows how much light he has. Let me turn this light off and show you. It's kind of a fun deal. So let me go ahead and choose white first. And you know what? I'm going to turn off my camera light. There we go. Now my camera's light's off so you can just see there. So there we have white. Here we have red. Here we have blue. And notice how now he looks dark on top because we've turned it blue. There we have green. And so it's kind of funny. You kind of play with the colors a little bit and see how he looks. There's yellow. And there's white where he totally glows. Or red, which I like to use red because it gives the coolest effect for our picture. Now, when you do this, you want to use a really slow setting on your camera so it can capture all the light. And I find if you use a slow setting, to use a secondary light on top sometimes, just to move around while it's capturing the picture. I like to use a 30-second shutter speed, so I have a full 30 seconds to play with the light. And so I put this on, make sure they're all on red, there we go. And then I can use this to change the lighting of how it looks on his head. And move it around, change the background lighting, everything else, get it just the way I want because I have a full 30 seconds. Now if you just put it here for a second and then move it somewhere else, that will turn dark again. So I've found it works best if I was to get all 4 lights, because the set came with 4, and use one on top to keep the head lit the whole time, and then use the other light to move around to light up the scene. Make sure it's out of the camera focal while you're doing it. So those are some great ways to light up your figure. And of course, depending on the brightness you set on the camera, is going to change it as well. But that's just some really cool ways to do it. Hopefully I gave you guys some great ideas for when you actually do your own photography on the figures. It's one of my favorite things is to kind of play around with all the different options you have available to you. Let me put it back on white so you can see. Wow, that's really bright. You can have a lot of fun just messing around with lighting up the scene just the way you want. All right, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next video. Thanks for watching. Whoa, that's crazy.